Line of the month. Line of the month for Draymond Green. The dynasty starts after you, not with you. What a line. That's Draymond Green talking about Dillon Brooks and the Memphis Grizzlies. No surprise there. The Grizzlies and Warriors, they played their Western Conference semifinal series last year. It was contentious. Warriors won in 6 games, and it's just been back and forth ever since. Kurt Helin, tell me this. Does Draymond have a point about Brooks? Does he have a point about the Grizzlies as a whole not being ready?
Well, they're not ready now. They are reeling right now with the Ja Morant situation, with Steven Adams now out for longer, without Brandon Clark the rest of this year. I mean, this is a team. I mean, you noticed, Michael, they really started to stumble once Steven Adams went out. Once the big guy who did all the dirty work was suddenly off the floor, it's like, they don't, they're not quite the same. They miss everything he did. That said, look, the Grizzlies are a team on the rise, but I think the idea that they've got to find themselves it's legit, right? Like, it's not just Ja Morant finding himself. Like, Dillon Brooks, if you're going to come at the king of trash talk, you better not miss. And Draymond fired back with just punch after punch on that team. And I think he's got a point that I'm not sure right now, watching them, how this season has gone for them, how nothing has changed, how they still don't have a great half-court offense, all this other stuff. I'm not sure. Are they ready? They don't come off to me as ready.
So they're not ready because of some of the other things you mentioned, some of the things on the periphery. But let's get to the central one. You've already referenced it, Ja Morant. And so he's going to come back in mid-March. 4 more games for Morant after the 2-game, hiatus, whatever you want to call it. What do you expect from him specifically? On the court, off the court, when he comes back.
First off, I could be quick to add, it's a minimum of 4 games. They're saying it's at least 4 games. If it's longer than that, I wouldn't be shocked. I think it's going to be interesting to see which Ja Morant we get back, in the sense that, like, you've talked about it on the show, I've written about it, everybody's been talking about it's kind of a pivot point in his life, and he's got to find the path that works for him going forward. But he's got to find that path without losing the edge, that aggressive edge on the court that makes him the most dynamic player in the league, like the most watchable player in the league in a pure entertainment sense, right? Like, how do you balance those things? I got a feeling that's going to take, that might take longer than this year. The rest, this season, there's 4 weeks left before the playoffs start. I'm not sure that all that comes together again quickly enough for them.
So we start off talking about Draymond as a trash talker, and I guess we keep, we always check in on the Warriors. They deserve that respect because of what they've done over the past 10 years. But we look at them now in the Western Conference. Are you convinced that somehow some switch is going to be turned on, that they're going to make some run? Like, what have you seen? I feel like we do like temperature checks, like maybe like NASCAR, pit stop on the Warriors. Okay, how about after 5 more laps? What do we see? 10 more laps? What do we see? What do you see right now with the Warriors, and what do you think about them versus everybody else in this field?
Yeah, it's kind of the heat check shot on them every once in a while. Like, have they found it? And the funny thing was, Steve Kerr, they won 5 at home. He's like, see, and without Steph Curry, and they're like, that's it. We've got our groove. We're going to come back. This is it. I think this is our chance to turn the corner. Curry comes back, and they go on the road, and they just go back to losing games they probably shouldn't lose. The defense isn't where it is. I can get away with saying this while Natalie's not on the show. I'm just out on them right now. I am just not sold yet that they're going to flip that switch quite the same way. And I say that kind of respectfully, because I wasn't convinced going into last playoffs that they had found the groove, and then, they found the groove. But that said, they're not defending at the level they needed to, and I'm not convinced of their depth the same way I was last year, especially defensively. So like I said, I'm just still out on them. I still don't believe in them totally. The problem is also, Michael, who do you believe in the West?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked that question because I feel like just as we wait for the Warriors to emerge and look like the Warriors of the past, are we waiting on the Nuggets to collapse? Are we saying that what we see from the Nuggets is not real? Look, and I know it's been a lot of debate on this show in particular and a lot of shows on the MVP candidacy for the third year in a row. Number one for Nikola Jokic. All right. So if you're telling me that Jokic is going to be the MVP for the third straight year, but then you tell me you don't believe in the Nuggets, then why is Jokic going to be the MVP for the third straight year? See, I believe in Jokic. I'm not a Jokic hater. I like him a lot. I love him. So because I love him, I look at Denver and I'm going to declare the beginning of March, before we get to the Ides of March, I'm going to declare this, Kurt Helin, to you. The Denver Nuggets are the team to beat in the West. They're the team to beat. And so, what are we waiting? What are we waiting for?
I agree with you, by the way. If you make me pick right now, I'm picking Denver out of the West, and it's not with 100% confidence. But the problem I think we run into is we do this in every sport, kind of with every team, which is we don't really believe in you until you've done it. I'm not convinced you can win it till you win it. And we did it, sometimes it works out. It's the Utah Jazz with Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. We're like, I don't know. And we get proven right. Like, we shouldn't have known. On the other hand, back in 2012, we were doing that with the Warriors. Like, I don't know about these guys. All this jump shooting. Are they defending? Yeah, it turns out they were pretty good. Like they pulled it together. So I think that's where most people are. I've come around to them just being the most complete team in the East, in the West. And there are flaws. Like Jokic is not a late game rim protector. And do they have enough defense? And are we trusting that Michael Porter Jr. and everyone else is ready for these moments? I think Jokic is. I'm not sold completely on the rest of the team. That said, there's nobody better in the West. Like there's nobody better suited for playoff basketball. I think they're the best thing going. I'm hesitant still just because I haven't seen them do it at that level. Yeah.
I hear it. I hear the hesitancy. It's there. It's just right there. It's just floating through the air. Well, now that I got you on a hesitancy thing, now I need you to. There's a big topic, and I already brought it up. I want to know where you stand on it. Jokic MVP. So we're getting down to the end of the year.
Yeah.
A lot of conversation about this. A lot of elements have been mentioned in this MVP campaign. Where do you stand on Jokic perhaps getting a third straight MVP?
I'm glad you're asking me that question because the meta of talking about the race is just getting a little over the top for me. Like, and it is getting as everything in our society must be now. It becomes ridiculously divisive. Jokic, the MVP. I'll just tell you where I'm at, which is it's a regular season award for this year, and in that setting, Jokic is the front runner. I don't know that I think it's a three-man race. It's him. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's Joel Embiid. With all due respect to Jason Tatum and now Luka Doncic, especially if he's going to miss a little time with this thigh injury. Fortunately, it's nothing serious, but I think they've both fallen. They're going to be fourth, fifth, in whatever order. It's going to be Jokic, Embiid, Antetokounmpo. I'm not totally sure who I'm going to vote for, but I think Jokic is the front runner. What if we asked of him coming into the season? I don't know if we can vote for him again unless he gets that team to be like the number one seed and he almost averages a triple-double. Ta-da, there you go. Like, so I don't know what else we can ask of him in the regular season, and it's still a regular season award.
Yeah, it's a regular season award. I'm wondering, and I bet the answer is right there in front of me, but I can't pinpoint it. Maybe you can. I don't remember, you used the word divisive. I think you're 100% right. It's become a divisive race. Now, in the NBA league offices, they're like, what do you mean divisive? This is great. This is awesome engagement.
Exactly.
This is what we talk about in our conference room. We got, we've got presentations on this. Our fans are giving us exactly what we want. But I don't remember it being like this 10 years ago. Like, what do you think the turning point was when it's not just, hey, I want this person to win MVP. It's like, okay, if my guy doesn't win, I'm going in. And it's not just fans.
Yeah.
I mean, players too. Like, players get upset about it. Like, what do you think the turning point was?
Yeah. I don't know. Because I think it's a bigger issue than just sport. The 24/7 sports talk cycle. We do this with politics. Frankly, we're probably going to do this on Monday morning with the Oscars, and we're going to, All Quiet on the Western Front should have won, or whatever movie you're into. I feel like that's just become the societal discourse on everything, and so MVP falls into that. Sports talk falls into that, and it does tend to fall along the fault lines of society, which certainly involves race right now, as it should. But I'm not. Yeah, in this particular case, well, frankly, probably in a lot of cases, but in this particular case, it's such I don't want to say that's not an issue, but it's such a large, nuanced issue, part of a million other issues of, well, the honest people saying, well, why didn't he win 3 straight?
Yeah, see, look, not only has race factored into it, and I remember that it started with, maybe it was Steve Nash. Now that I think about it, Steve Nash winning back-to-back, and I think
Kobe.
at the time, so there were some whispers, oh, wait a minute, back-to-back, would he have won if? So Steve Nash, so that was a racial thing. Then we even had, where's Vinny Goodwill talking about beige rage right now? Because we had Steph Curry. We had Steph Curry over LeBron. So now it becomes a light-skinned, dark-skinned thing. What are we talking about here? So you are absolutely right. It does follow some of the non-sports, but really sports topics that we discuss in society. It's fascinating. So we'll see. Last thing before we that last theme of both race and light skin, dark skin, I'll just tell you, that is discussed in locker rooms. That's not like you and me and some media people sitting around. Like, that's players throwing that stuff around right now. Yeah, that's right. I'm with the dark skins. I'm just putting on record right now. I'm with the dark skins. Okay, all right. I'm just kidding. All right. Last thing before we let you go, Kurt. I want you to hear again this very eloquent speech from Fred VanVleet after last night's Raptors loss. Here he is.
I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was terrible tonight. I thought that on most nights, a couple of the, out of the 3, there's 1 or 2 that just the game up. And it's been like that a couple games in a row. The third quarter, I get a bull tech, changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. And, most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair. They communicate well. And then you got the other ones who just want to be and just kind of the game up. Nobody's coming to see that shit. They come to see the players. You could look up, most of my texts this year have been with Ben Taylor officiating. So at a certain point as a player, you feel it's personal.
In this case, I'm with the light skins. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. Oh, now, do you think that was unfair? Because I thought that was I know he's biased because he got a tech and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But his comment on officiating, you tell me, what did you think of it?
I'll tell you, I think the best example of what this meant was this morning, after the game, somebody came up to Marcus Smart at Celtic shoot-around and was asked him about the officiating and some questions he's had lately, and he essentially said, I'm not talking about it. You've seen the Fred VanVleet video. He speaks for us. Like, I think that hit home with players who see some officials as thin-skinned, quick-triggered. I'm Scott Foster. I'm at the free throw line. Scotty Barnes is muttering to himself, and I'm spinning and giving him a tech. There are players frustrated with officials who are not. And look, it's not easy to be official. I don't want to pretend that that's an easy job, but part of that job is you you are the bad guy in every arena and you're going to get yelled at nightly, and that sucks. And I'm sorry about that, but that's the gig. Jordan Poole's another good one. I'm glad you're showing that video. That was another just like, that's not worth a tech. All that said, I mean, come on. I think the players are frustrated with the guys who in like this, in this case, there's times where they seem to go hunting disrespect. They get enough disrespect, they get fed up, and then they go hunting to lash out about it and throw vortex out, and they've just got to find a way to absorb that. And hey, we could talk about the players being more respectful, and then I think that can be part of the conversation. That said, you can see when it boils over, and there's just terrible game-changing, like you said, that changed the flow of the game. That was a back-and-forth game with the Clippers last night. That tech changed the flow for the Raptors. Obviously, the Scotty Barnes one dramatically changed the end of that game, made a 3-point game a 4-point game in the final 30 seconds. It's that kind of thing. It just can't happen.
All right. Hey, Kurt Helin, you're one of my favorite writers. I didn't think I'd come out of today saying two of my favorite players are Fred VanVleet and Draymond Green. And it's for what they said off the court. Some good stuff. Appreciate you, man. We'll catch up with you later.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.